Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to be interviewing people within the street, in the city. I'm not going to say exactly where we are because you never know who's about. However, we're going to ask the public about education, social media, business or employment, and a few other questions. And we're going to see what the public thinks of what I've got to ask them today. Some people get a little bit annoyed, but the majority of people actually enjoy the questions. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so we're asking people today, do you think the education system is out of date? And if you could change things or you have any opinion on it, what would it be?
It's hard for me to speak to the UK system because I'm from the United States, but it is somewhat out of date. I think there's too many bureaucrats making decisions, and we need to get more input from the ground level.
Yeah. So 3 things that you could change about the school system now that you think we should be teaching. I'll just have my 2 pence worth. I reckon we should be teaching kids how to deal with the elements of social media and the effects. But what would you change?
I agree 100%. Social media navigation, social emotional issues, emotion regulation.
Well, dude, I'm going to bring awareness as much as I can, and I'd love to see some change, but I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Cool, thank you so much. Okay, so we are asking people as well about the education system. I personally think it's very outdated. I didn't go to college, I didn't go to uni, but I have gone on to start multiple businesses just off my own savvy. If you could change things about the education system, what would it be, and what do you think of it?
We've said this as well. I think there's not too much in terms of like practical like learning.
Yeah.
So like things like buying a house. How do you do a mortgage? How do you do things like that? There should be more of that. Another area around like property and things.
Yeah.
You know, you can make a lot of money from that. So we're told.
Yeah.
From friends and things, but you know, it's not really presented as a career option.
Yeah.
So I think in that respect, that's where I would sort of position it. But you know, there's a lot of good things out there with it.
Well, firstly, that was a power walk that we just saw. That was an absolute power walk. But do you know one thing that was really funny? A maths teacher used to say to me, I'm 31, but I remember a maths teacher saying to me, well, Aaron, you need to learn maths because you're not going to have a calculator in your pocket.
Yeah, of course.
Lo and behold, we do. But
Yeah.
I think the education system does need updating, but do you think, just a final word, do you think maybe it's a bit of an agenda not to really make people more aware, because obviously there are tax benefits if you become a little bit more savvy about business and you know, monetary value?
No, that's a fair point. And I think just probably would be a little less scared then of going into it, trying, potentially failing and then going again.
Well, I appreciate your time. Good answers. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm asking people today, what do you think is riskier, starting a business or staying in employment in the day and age that we're in?
Riskier? I'd say starting a business is always going to be riskier to begin with. Yeah, I think employment, I mean, not the economy's in the amazing way right now, but I'd still say you've got a bit more security there anyway, at least short term.
Yeah, I would agree short term. I would say, so my counter would be, the risk element I would say would be higher in employment. So just to throw it out there, have you ever heard of the saying of 90% of all businesses fail in the first 2 years? So that's obsolete now, so forget about that. It's actually 18.4%. And the reason that is because most businesses are started now with a phone and a laptop, low overheads, minimum entry. I think there's this misconception that employment is safe, whereas obviously AI is going to make a lot of jobs obsolete. Would you ever consider starting a business, or if you wouldn't, what would put you off?
No, I probably would, but I think I'd want to do it when I have a bit more of a commercial mind about me. I think I need to learn a bit more of a commercial headset and kind of learn a bit more. But yeah, no, I think I would eventually like to. I'd work for myself.
Well, you should, and also that's a wise answer. Education first.
If you had £1 million today and you could spend it in 3 ways, how would you spend it?
3 ways to spend £1 million. I would get a dream house, absolutely beautiful house in Brighton. I'd accessorise it with a really fantastic car, and that'd probably still just about scrape the suit that I saw in the shop there. So I'd get myself a nice house, a nice car, a very nice suit. So that's what I'd do.
Nice. Thank you.
So we're asking people today, do you trust the news?
Depends on the source, I suppose.
Okay, well, let's go main ones, BBC, ITV, all that good stuff. Do you trust it?
I don't distrust it, but I don't know if it's always complete. I don't think what they say is incorrect.
Yeah.
But it may well be incomplete, or it may well be coming from one angle and not considering others and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
So are you someone that, if you saw something in the news, would you still go and find your own information, like be a bit inquisitive about it? You know, say, well, I don't necessarily agree with it, I'm going to go find my own answer. You one of those?
Somewhat, depending on what the topic is. You got different parts of the media, right? You got right wing, left wing, and all of that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So if you see one news source taking one angle, I'm always interested in taking a different angle.
Yeah.
And for my own opinion, based on those two different sort of angles, if you like. But I'm not one who thinks the media is like telling lies or whatever. I think they're telling the truth. They're just telling the truth from their perspective.
Yeah.
I
think we're in a day and age where there's a lot of information, and I think you're absolutely right. You take the good and the bad, and then you make that middle decision.
Yeah.
My man, absolutely love it. I appreciate it.
We just asked some people today, if you had 3 pieces of advice for a 10-year-old, what would it be?
Okay, so my first piece of advice is you're only going to have a few best friends. If you can count all your best friends on one hand, you're doing a really good job. My second piece of advice, mums are really, really annoying, but they're normally right. So go away and think about what they're saying. And my third piece of advice is do something that makes you happy every day.
If you were born 10 years ago, how old would you be?
Oh my goodness, you're asking a dyslexic. If I was born 10 years ago, I would be 10.
Well done.
Did I get it right? That's a miracle.
Thank you.
So we are asking people today, what's riskier, starting a business today, 2023, or remaining in employment? Bearing in mind AI will make a lot of jobs obsolete, but obviously in your opinion.
What's riskier? Depends what you're going into, right? It's all subjective. I've just been in that position where I was like, do I start my own business or do I go back into employment? I just made the decision to go back into employment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's holding you back currently from sort of jumping in, or will you eventually?
Maybe eventually, but I've just had a baby, so I need the money.
So I would definitely say that's probably the sensible thing to do. But I would definitely say if you wanted to explore business, just a little fact, because I know people are basing this on a lot of old narrative. You know, when you hear the term of 90% of all businesses fail in the first 2 years, that is totally obsolete. That does not exist. It's 18.4% of businesses fail in the first 2 years because it started by a phone and a laptop and very low overheads and minimal entry. So that's my 2 pence worth. Is university worth it, and what are you going to do with it? That's what I want to know. Tell me your thoughts about uni and what you plan on doing.
I think it really does depend on the reason you've gone. Because like I was saying, like I went kind of late, but I think when I went, like I knew I wanted to do the degree I wanted to do, the reason I wanted to do it. So I think it just depends if you're going for the right reason. Like I do think like having some time out now is like a good idea, like a year working, just like figuring things out, because I've never been someone who's like, in sixth form, like I knew I wanted to do this and this. So I think it depends. It's worth it if you're going for like the right reasons.
So do you know what you're going to do? And then second part question is, were you influenced to go to uni because it's what you wanted to do, or have your parents, or did your parents kind of want you to? Because that's typically what happens. So what is it you want to do, and do you think you'll do it, and did your parents influence you or anyone else?
No, I think because of when I went, it was my choice. I think there is a lot of pressure though, like especially like when you're in sixth form or like when you're in college, there's a lot of pressure to like go. I think like teachers put a lot of pressure on people. They're not even just like parents kind of thing. So I do think there's like a lot of pressure from people to go. But for me, like it was my own like decision. I think I did it at a time. Well, I'm studying law, so hopefully like a training contract or something afterwards. I know it's a bit like competitive. I still work part-time as well at the company I was at before.
Well, I would say if you're going into law or something like that, or anything to do with legals, and like medical care and stuff like that, or surgeon stuff, I would definitely say you need uni. So I wish you all the best, and I appreciate the answer, mate. Cheers, thank you. So we're asking people today, starting a business where you can build something from a laptop and a phone. Just to throw a bit of a fact out there, there was that saying of 90% of all businesses fail in the first 2 years. That's obsolete. It's actually 18.4%. You've started an incredible business. I know a lot about your business. I know you've got like good clientele here. What are 3 tips for someone thinking, I don't know whether to go into employment from school or do I start a business? What would you say? 3 tips.
I'd say educate yourself is the most important one, because you need to understand the business you're going into. I would say, learn your product, learn your customer base. There's so much you need to figure out, but also starting small is good as well, because you pick up those things along the way.
And your marketing's good. Like marketing's a big thing.
Marketing's a very big thing. Making sure that you have the right product at the right price for the right person coming into your store or online store. So there's many factors, but making sure you're educated is definitely the main one for me.
Yeah, and even though it's like trainers, you're still solving like a problem for a client. Like people want nice trainers. Supply and demand.
And for me, it comes down to a lot of positioning as well, making sure we're in the right place for the consumer. So that's why we've opened a store in London and making sure we're even online, you can be in the right position.
Love that. My man's killing it. He's got a store in London. Dude, just give it a shout out.
Thank you. OG Kicks. Make sure you come to our Brighton store. We've got a London store as well. So.